Okay, so we're back. This is Tarun's heater, and he sent it to us for a nice rebuild. We'll get you in a bit closer, bring you in for a better view. Now, as we can see, we're going to need a new exhaust part. The cradle is very rusty and that, so that's going to need a repowder coat. Heat is going to get a full service. As you can see, nice and rusty. We'll sort all that out. The pump's going to need a replacement. We've got, let's see if I can get it in the shot there, a nice crack through the housing there. It must have been leaking coolant at some point, so can't entrust that. You don't want to be going down the motorway and lose all your coolant and damage your engine. So it's got multiple cracks. I don't know how well the camera picks it out, but yeah. And strangely, the back's all misshapen and misformed, so yep, replacement pump on that. There's the pot number, so it's a VW. Now, interestingly, he wants to try and get it working via the W bus. Now, it is a CAN bus heater, and VW are notorious for like locking them and serializing them. They're not generally classed as a W bus heater, so after reading a bit on the discourse and that, there is options. So we will try software coding to see if that will make it respond to the W bus. Also, he's sent the last in the series of the W bus modules, and it's very interesting to say the least, but back to that later. Back to that later, and then we got some excitement for you guys. So let's get it stripped down. Let's see where we're at. Let's start the show. So turn up your music, grab a coffee. Should be a good one. Okay, so that's Tarun's heater stripped down. We've found the reason for the smoking, and the camera picks it up. There's a nice crack right down in the ceramic there. It's behind the fuel pipe, so it's quite hard to see, but yeah, that's the reason for it. So the ceramics failed. Now, these burners, especially the VAG stuff, they carry the extra connector plug, and what that is there's a solenoid valve on the fuel. But not only that, is there's an actual heater cartridge here that preheats the fuel before it's injected. So these are a bit more complex than, well, hold on, I'll grab a normal one. So this is your typical Land Rover one, and you see at first glance there's not much difference, except for this one's packing a lot more stuff. So yep, these today, the price is, yeah, €300 for one of these new. So if I told most people that you're going to need a burner, it's €300, they would tell me, yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll give it a miss, I'll buy a second-hand heater off eBay and take a chance. And that's exactly what you're doing, is taking a chance. Not only is it fully reserviced with us and sealed and all that good stuff and painted, but you don't know what you're getting off eBay. It'll be in not much better condition than your particular one. Might not smoke, that's a given until next year. Or the glow plug fails, or the fan sounds scratchy or something. So, you know, however, Tarun doesn't need to pay £300 to replace this, because all we're going to do is replace the ceramic. In a future video, we are having this ceramic put into a 3D printer file, and we will have these ceramics made and laser sintered in 316 stainless. So that's an upgrade. Never crack again. Once fitted, the burner will last until the glow plug goes, I guess. So all this will get polished up as usual, because you should polish this, because this is a bit like mill scale. So what happens is when the stainless doesn't look like this anymore, and it has this oxide layer on it, that when it's burning, this actually glows hotter than it needs to. It starts glowing like a bright orange rather than a dull red, which then kills the burner even faster. So always make sure your burners are highly polished, and get rid of this. It makes them last so much longer. So yes, we will be replacing the ceramic on that. That'll be for later. All the parts are laid out. So the exhaust, it's made of that cheap wrapped foily stuff. We'll be replacing that with a better one. The brackets, well, as you can see, they're quite rusty and nasty. So we're going to have them done and powder coated, and get them cleaned and powder coated up, and have them primed and coated. As you can see, there's no primer on this, so the minute rust gets underneath it, it comes straight off and that. So these will be primed and coated, so they won't do that again. Body will be done, fan will be skimmed, all parts will be cleaned, gaskets replaced, you know the good stuff. So we'll be back. Okay, so that's the burner stripped down. Obviously these parts have been through the ultrasonic. Comes out very nice. Glow plug looks okay. The mica gaskets survived, which is good. It means I don't have to carefully cut them. Here's the burner sleeve. It's in relatively good condition inside. So it's all been cleaned and through the ultrasonic. That will now get polished. As I said, this must be removed. So that leads us to the ceramic, and there it is. There's this nice crack right the way through it, and the reason is because of this step that's not used. It must have been a weak spot in the design. It's absolutely minging in there, absolutely gross. The camera's picking that up. Yeah, that's not very nice. So the interesting thing is we've took the 3D file for it, so we now have a 3D design, and we're going to modify the top of the design because this is the one that's going back in. As you can see, this step is gone, and when we put them right up against each other, you can see that the one on the left is a little bit taller. So what they've done in the later one is they've increased the cone length inside, and they've given it a proper swirl pattern. This helps keep the cone clean. Yeah, so what our future plan is, now we have a 3D model that we just need to change, is we're going to get these printed in 316L stainless, so they're going to be laser sintered. So that will be our upgrade next. The only reason they made them in the ceramic was because in production it's cheaper. You can do trays of ceramic in a kiln, easy peasy. Whereas if they cast these, they'd have probably cracked a lot more. They didn't want to, obviously, can you imagine if each one had to be CNC'd out of billet? That would take too long, cost too much money. So, yep, they were just made in good old ceramic. So yeah, we're going to get some laser printed up in stainless, so we can charge the we'll lift this up and increase the cone slightly, just like the later one, and we can pull another 500 watts out this heater without risk of cracking the ceramic. And obviously, yeah, if it's in stainless steel, it'll never crack again, but that is for a later video. Let me put this together and have it polished. Okay, so it's been a week. Also, you can see the burner's all been cleaned, it's all been polished out. It's had the new ceramic fitted. We're good to go. So you can see, lovely powder coating as usual. Good job. Obviously I've already started putting some bits together and stuff like the temperature sensors and that, but yep, we're good to go. So let's do that. Oh, one last thing, remember these are all rusty and that, so they've all been powder coated up now. They're all good for another 10 years. So let's do it. Oh, that's fucked up.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so what you would have seen there in the last shot is me snapping a bolt on the exhaust. So, although they look good, well, it's an exhaust bolt, isn't it? So, you know, they do weaken. So we've put in some nice high tensile ones, 10.9s. So that's all good now. So we have totally stripped, we've machined, we have a new pump, we've powder coated everything, all the brackets are powder coated, we have a new piece of exhaust, and we've put on some just a fiberglass sheath, helps, especially when these are under the bumper. We've had a few where leaves have built up and stuff, so that helps. In the immediate, it touching anything it shouldn't. Like, I mean, it still gets warm, still gets hot, but not melt your skin hot. So that's good. Yeah. So now on to programming. Okay, so we have our normal adapter and we have a VW CAN gateway. So we have modified gateway, and then we have a VAGCOM. So put you in front of the screen. There we go. So pretty straightforward. Temperature's 22 in here, and that's correct. Flame detector 0.222, very good glow plug, and it's off state, no fault, no faults turning up. So that's that. So it has the parking heater lit up, but that won't work, and it has the auxiliary, and that will work. So Tarun's Touran, he's got the well, his aftermarket telestart, so we're going to have to program this one to respond to the telestart. So we can come off Webasto. We need to go over to VCDS. Through our gateway. Now the reason you only see a couple of things there is because I've unticked it all, like the gateway and that. It'll only cause errors if not, so we only deal with what we deal with. So there's our heater. Now you can see the software coding is 11, and that has to change. So we go into coding. And it changes to 1012. Don't change codings if you don't know what you're doing, and that code won't work for all heaters. So don't just go changing codes. Okay, so then we go into adaptation. Additional heater functionality, as it says there. 0. Auxiliary heater not active as additional heater, or auxiliary heater active as additional heater. Well, we want it active. We want it active. So we test and we save. This is recirculation pump during auxiliary heating, and of course we want it active. It is active. That's great. Auxiliary heater activation. Obviously we can activate it on the climatronic, or we can activate it via the engine, and obviously we want it via the engine, so that's correct. Temperature threshold of ambient temperature. Now that's 12, and that would be about right. Coolant temperature is 88. Now, to save some fuel, it doesn't need to get to 88 before it shuts down. 88 is quite a lot. 75 is reasonable, so that'll save a little fuel, and we'll set it to 75. And we're good. We're good. So we'll just close it, go back in, and you see the coding stored and everything like that. So that is good, so we can close that off. We can exit the VCDS part. Now, back in, and we're going to get a fault code. 3, 2, 1. Fault code. There it is. W bus communication. There isn't any, and that's great. That what it's doing now is the heater we coded. It's now looking for the aftermarket telestart. So that's why it's moaning it can't find it. So that's absolutely brilliant. Now all that's left is to quickly wire up the fan, test everything, the glow plug, the new water pump, and give it a quick test burn, and it goes home now. So what we can do is just delete. Oh, what did I do that for? We do make mistakes. Okay, just delete that fault code and come out of it, and that's great.